In the vast darkness of the Pacific Ocean, silence was survival. Every sound, every ripple, could mean life or death. And in that deadly game beneath the sea, one man stood above all. He was the U.S. Navy's most feared submarine commander, a legend whose name sent shockwaves through the Japanese fleet. While others played it safe, he hunted boldly, striking deep within enemy waters, vanishing before anyone could strike back. This is the untold story of a man who rewrote the rules of naval warfare, who turned the ocean into a battlefield of shadows and steel, and whose courage changed the tide of World War II. Welcome to the most feared American submarine commander of World War II, the story of a hero beneath the waves. The Silent Hunter of the Pacific. June 19th, 1944, the Luzon Strait, Western Pacific Ocean. The sea is calm, deceptively calm. Beneath the gentle ripples, 200 feet below the surface, a steel beast prowls in silence. Inside the control room of the USS Tang SS-306, red lights glow over tense faces. Condensation drips from the pipes, and the steady hum of electric motors fills the cramped space. Commander Richard H. O'Kane, 33 years old, stands over the periscope. His expression is unreadable, calm, disciplined, but with a spark in his eyes that every man aboard recognizes. He is not a man who simply follows orders. He is a man who rewrites the book of submarine warfare. O'Kane's voice cuts through the tension. Bearing 085, convoy dead ahead, 4 freighters and a destroyer. His executive officer swallows hard. Range? 6,000 yards and closing. The USS Tang was one of the newest Balao-class submarines in the U.S. Pacific Fleet, 311 feet of steel, equipped with 10 torpedo tubes, and crewed by men who lived on the razor's edge of fear and faith. But what made her truly lethal wasn't her machinery, it was her commander. O'Kane had already made a name for himself before the Tang. He had served as the executive officer under Commander Dudley "Mush" Morton aboard the USS Wahoo, one of the most celebrated subs of the early war. Under Morton, O'Kane had learned the art of audacity, how to stalk, strike, and vanish before the enemy even realized they were being hunted. But aboard the Tom, this quiet, analytical officer would evolve into something more, the embodiment of the perfect predator. The Japanese convoy ahead is moving in a zigzag, a tactic meant to throw off torpedo calculations. But O'Kane watches patiently, noting each maneuver, timing every change of course. He whispers to his helmsman, "All ahead 1/3, maintain depth. We'll wait for the lead freighter to turn, and then we'll strike." At 11:32 p.m., he sees it the moment the enemy's lead ship begins its predictable pattern. O'Kane's eyes narrow through the periscope. Set depth 10 feet. Fire one. The torpedo leaves the tube with a dull whoosh. Seconds stretch into eternity. Then a violent explosion. The freighter's bow lifts into the air as flames rip through its cargo hold. Fire 2. Fire 3. 3 more torpedoes streak toward their targets. Each finds its mark. Within minutes, 2 freighters are sinking, and panic spreads through the convoy. The Japanese destroyer speeds toward Tang's last known position, dropping depth charges in wild desperation. O'Kane remains motionless, hands clasped behind his back. "Hold steady," he says calmly, as the crew grips the rails. The sub shakes violently as depth charges detonate overhead. 1, 2, 5, but Tang remains untouched. Minutes later, silence returns. The destroyer moves away, chasing ghosts. O'Kane gives a small nod. "Come to periscope depth. Let's finish the job." The night above is burning. Flames from the wrecks illuminate the waves in hellish orange. As Tang surfaces to reload, O'Kane looks out through the periscope. His jaw tightens. "Remember this," he murmurs. "Every ship we sink brings us one day closer to ending this war." By the end of that patrol, the USS Tang would record 5 confirmed kills, including heavily armed Japanese transports carrying critical war supplies. It was one of the most successful patrols in submarine history. But for O'Kane, success wasn't about numbers. It was about precision, the art of striking hard, fast, and without mercy. He wasn't reckless like some of his peers. He was calculated, methodical. Where others saw danger, O'Kane saw opportunity. In the months that followed, his legend grew. Word spread among the Japanese merchant fleets, whispers of a phantom submarine that appeared without warning and vanished like smoke. They called it the Sea Devil of the Pacific. What they didn't know was that behind every attack, behind every successful ambush, was the calm, unshakable mind of Commander O'Kane, a man who believed that true warfare wasn't about rage, but control. But the deeper Tang ventured into enemy waters, the higher the stakes became. And as O'Kane would soon discover, even the best hunter could one day find himself trapped in his own snare. The last patrol, triumph and tragedy beneath the waves. October 24th, 1944, Formosa Strait, South China Sea. The ocean is black and still a suffocating void stretching for miles. Inside the USS Tang, the air smells of oil, metal, and men who haven't seen sunlight in weeks. They are on their 5th war patrol, and the crew knows one thing for certain: this one feels different. The tension is heavier, the stakes higher. The submarine's log already lists 33 enemy ships destroyed, making Tang the most successful American submarine of the war. But Commander Richard O'Kane isn't satisfied. He's never satisfied. His mission is clear: cripple Japan's remaining supply lines to the Philippines. Every ton of shipping he sends to the bottom weakens the enemy's lifeline. Every torpedo fired is another strike at the Empire's heart. At 1 a.m., the sonar operator breaks the silence. Multiple screws bearing 080. Sounds like a convoy large one. O'Kane leans over the chart table, tracing the convoy's possible route. Convoy running south toward Luzon, he says quietly. Exactly where we want them. He raises his head. Battle stations. We'll strike before dawn. The control room comes alive with movement, men sliding torpedoes into tubes, plotting firing solutions, whispering brief prayers under their breath. Above them, the enemy steams forward, unaware that death lurks below. O'Kane decides on a surface attack, a dangerous maneuver that maximizes visibility and speed, but exposes the submarine to enemy fire. It's bold, almost suicidal, but boldness is what has defined O'Kane's command from the start. Open outer doors, 1 through 4, he orders. Fire one. The first torpedo streaks through the dark water. Moments later, a column of fire erupts from the lead transport. Fire 2, Fire 3, Fire 4. Explosions thunder across the night. The Tang darts between the burning wrecks like a ghost, reloading as she goes. Japanese escorts scramble in confusion, firing wildly into the darkness, unable to pinpoint the invisible attacker. O'Kane's voice is calm amid chaos. Left full rudder. Target the last freighter. Let's finish this. But fate, cruel and unpredictable, was about to intervene. At 2:30 a.m., the Tang fires her last torpedo, number 24. The torpedo leaves the tube cleanly, slicing through the water. Seconds pass, then a sound no submariner ever wants to hear. Tunk. It's the unmistakable metallic echo of a circular run. The weapon has malfunctioned, turning back toward the sub that launched it. Hard right rudder. Emergency dive, O'Kane shouts. But it's too late. A blinding flash. A roar that tears through steel and flesh alike. The Tang shudders violently as the last torpedo, their own, strikes her stern. Water floods the aft compartments. Men scream. Lights flicker. And within seconds, the once invincible submarine begins to die. Seal the compartments, O'Kane yells. But there's no stopping it. The sea is merciless. Within minutes, the Tang plunges to the bottom 180 feet below the surface. Only a handful of crewmen make it to the forward compartment, clinging to life. O'Kane, dazed and wounded, looks around the shattered control room. He knows the truth: they are trapped. For hours, the survivors fight to escape the sinking tomb. Using a newly designed mumps and lung, a primitive rebreathing device, O'Kane leads his men one by one through the escape trunk up toward the surface. Only 9 make it out alive. As dawn breaks, the surviving crew are pulled from the water not by American ships, but by a Japanese patrol vessel. O'Kane, now a prisoner of war, watches as the burning oil slick marks the grave of his submarine and most of his crew. He is interrogated, beaten, and imprisoned until the end of the war. But even behind barbed wire, his spirit never breaks. His captors call him the stubborn one. His men, the few who survive, will forever remember him as the skipper who never gave up. When O'Kane finally returns home in 1945, he is a living legend. The Navy awards him the Medal of Honor, recognizing his unparalleled courage and tactical brilliance. His record stands unmatched: 24 ships destroyed, totaling over 93,000 tons of enemy shipping. Yet when reporters ask him about his victories, he gives the same quiet answer every time. The real heroes, he says, are the men who never came home. Today, the name Richard H. O'Kane is etched into the annals of U.S. naval history, the most feared and respected submarine commander of World War II. His tactics are still studied by submariners around the world, his legend still whispered in the halls of the Naval Academy. And somewhere in the depths of the Pacific, the steel remains of the USS Tang still rest a silent monument to the courage, precision, and sacrifice of the men who fought beneath the waves.